Welcome to Read Your Comics. Today I'm looking at the 1992 Marvel Masterpieces set by Joe Jusko. But let's not look at it this way. Let's look at it in this bad boy. Thanks for joining me today. I'm excited to be looking at Joe Jusko's art of the 1992 Marvel Masterpieces set. I backed this book on Kickstarter way back in 2023. I guess it went through some shipping issues because it kept getting delayed as far as when it would ship to the backers, because it was supposedly stuck on a boat coming from wherever it was printed. It finally came this weekend, and I couldn't really be more excited to finally have it in my hands. I wasn't ever a big card collector, but this set was just so beautiful that I had to have it even back in the day. So this is the original set I bought back when it came out. I don't have all of the etch cards. I got 3 of the 5, but I have all the commons, I guess you'd say. I didn't get the 10 or anything. It remains just one of my favorite card sets. And of the card sets I had, I got rid of pretty much all of them, but that's one I held on to. Some other goodies that came with this book actually was another card, this metal Hulk card. You can see it kind of glistens, and I don't know what it's made out of, aluminum or something. It's pretty neat though. That one's pretty neat. And also this extra card came, and it is a bronze Psylocke card. I mean, look how thick this thing is. This thing has some weight to it. So this is like the Psylocke card. And it's a pretty neat thing. There was also a Spider-Man one of these, and they were just sent out randomly, so I ended up getting Psylocke. Would have preferred the Spider-Man one, but, this is what I got. So those are some of the goodies. And lastly, the other thing that came with it was a second book of these recreations that Joe Jusko did. So this is basically the same stuff that's in this bigger book, except he repainted them in 2022 without the backgrounds. So these are recreated versions of the same cards. And it's pretty neat. It's kind of neat seeing them isolated like that. And it's just like an extra thing you got out of this book on this Kickstarter set. So, it took forever to get. I backed probably 7 or 8 Kickstarters after this one, and this is the last one to arrive. So, there's that. Just to give you an idea of the scale of this book, this thing is like digest size, or a little bigger than digest size. But here's your standard comic size. Here's your digest size, to give you an idea of how big these books are. We're going to take a look at some of these too. They're the Marvel Masterpiece issues. I only have 2 of the 4 that came out, but I do want to show something in these compared to this book. So it's a beautiful hardcover. Look how thick that bad boy is. Good design on the dust jacket. I like that it showed the card packs here. Inside the dust jacket is pretty much the same thing, as you can see, but more of a matte finish. Pretty cool on the inside of the dust jacket too, showing some more cards. Now these are cool. This one in particular, this is from the Hulk Thing card, the battle card, the etched one. But on the other side here, I saw Joe Jusko on Instagram showing this one. The Thing's head was right here. So he had to recreate, you can kind of see it there. So he had to recreate it and refill in that part of the Hulk's arm. The more I stare at it, it's a little awkward looking, but still, it's a nice touch of how involved Joe was in the creation of this book. Now, this isn't really a first look for me. I already looked through the PDF version because the book was so delayed. They sent the PDF 4 months ago to look through it. And I kind of flipped through it then. So I already kind of knew what was inside and what I was going to get. But it's full of back matter. You've got a nice introduction by Jusko. And he's discussing his own love of trading cards and stuff as a kid. Some career stuff here, pretty lengthy actually. Look at this piece. One of Joe's cosmic background paintings for the 1992 Marvel Universe Series 2 or Series 3. So I didn't know that he did that. So this Marvel Universe Series 3, he did a starry painted background for it. Pretty neat. Didn't know that. A nice back matter here showing like what the boxes look like. Supposedly, they printed 350,000 of these boxes. That is a lot of these. And I still people selling these sealed. I mean, they're not uncommon to still find sealed boxes of this. They're expensive though. And it has a lot of promotional art too that was leading up to the card set's release, which I think is like super neat, showing like ads. Here's the cover to one of the books. This is one I don't have. I have these two, and I'm missing these two. And I run across these two all the time, and I never find these last two. So this $20.99 wasn't in the original card set. It was part of this 10 though, and included in those books. So this is a 2001 recreation of the Spider-Man card, and you can tell it's a little different. Maybe we'll try to flip back to it when we get. There's your uncut sheet. And there's your back card. So you can see pretty cool back matter here. This is from Marvel Age number 117. A little article about doing it. This is showing how the cards evolve. So this is showing what the card could have looked like. This is showing what the cards could have looked like as they kind of evolved the design of it. Here's from issue 118, and I believe this issue, Marvel Age 118, came with some of the promo demo cards. A Hulk one, I believe. There's your diamond solicitation. More ads. I mean, all this material is like really cool. There's our big Psylocke that I got in the bronze card. And then now we're just getting into the cards. So here's your table of contents, and it lists the cards. So one cool thing about this is it shows the rough sketch. And you also get a little blurb from Jusko about his thought process behind making the card. So that's a little something extra that you get in this book. I'm going to show you a critique that I have in just a second. As we kind of flip through this, let's find some of the highlight ones. It's a good Black Widow card. I hated when she had short hair. I did. Love this Black Panther card. Love that one. This Black Cat. Awkward pose, you know, but it accentuates what he's really wanting to get out of it, right? Who doesn't love Black Cat? I really wanted to capture the supple feline attributes in her pose without being unnecessarily pandering. One of my favorite paintings in the series. Unnecessarily? I don't know. You got both, T and A making its appearance there, but it is a cool card. I like that one. Love this Bishop card. I was never like a gigantic Bishop fan, but you can't deny this is a pretty awesome card. And something else in here, you're going to see a lot of characters that maybe aren't as relevant today. And I've seen him comment on Instagram. In fact, he may have commented on one of my posts about the cards, that the choice was really up to Marvel, which characters were going to be included. So, he said there were all of his favorite characters were going to be in it regardless because they were all the big ones, Hulk, Spider-Man, yada, yada. But you're going to see like New Warriors in here, things of that nature. So Beast. So here's what I want to show real quick. Let me find a really good one. Apocalypse. Got a Morlock. See, like Darkhawk. There's one that's probably not a relevant character to today's audience, except I see people talk about him on Instagram. Those are like the old heads that, kind of make a joke about collecting Darkhawk. There's Daredevil. So here's my biggest critique of the book. I was real excited to get this because I wanted the big format to look at these cards. I already had these, comic collections, and as we can see, they're smaller, except on the inside, because we've got full bleed page, it's actually quite a bit bigger. So let me see if I can. And which is producing the more accurate color here to the original painting? Is it this with this more like lighter blue, or this like deeper indigo over here? Which one is producing it more correctly? I don't know, but I kind of like this bigger size a little more, right? So it's like these books still have like some value for that, because you're still getting it a little bigger. Now you're not getting this, the sketch and the blurb about it, but I mean you are getting something a little bigger in those comics. So still on the hunt for those last 2 issues, gonna get those. But let's keep going through the book. Love this Cyclops pose, one of the best. The Jim Lee costume. Love this Colossus card too. This background even kind of reminds me of something like a Frazetta background with the color usage and stuff on this one. Never loved this card. I wasn't an avid Excalibur reader, so a generic, strong pose and Union Jack were easy choices for this dramatic portrayal, and you can tell in that. He didn't really care so much about the character, so that's just kind of what he came up with. I threw everything that said America into this one. If you're going to do a single defining image of Captain America, why not? I also adjusted the extreme foreshortening in the sketch to open up the details on the costume a bit more. Love that card. And it is. I mean, he did exactly what he set out to do. It's America. I like this Cage card a lot too. Sweet Christmas. And there is an account on Instagram. They were animating these cards for a little bit. And they did this one. It looked pretty awesome with the bricks flying and stuff. I don't remember what that account was called. Otherwise, I would name drop them. It's been a long time since I've seen them. They were animating a bunch of stuff. Probably not the strongest concept for the character, but it puts the big guns thing across. Though not to the extreme as in the comics. Again, you can kind of tell this isn't a character he cared so much about, but we're talking 1992. Cable's at his peak of popularity with, X-Force had just come out like less than a year ahead probably. So, got to include him. Love this one. I like, look at his sketch here. He had a bullseye with shots around it and went for the body instead. The background target in my initial sketch seemed kind of mundane, so I changed the background to show the target's silhouette instead. It works 100 times better. Gotta agree, Joe. He wanted to use her in her original costume, but it was considered too dated and off-model in 1992. Great Enchantress card. Awesome Elektra card. Elektra a little too buff in this one. Still an awesome card. Great colors. I love the way the lightning is glowing and stuff. He looks more slim here. But here he's like extra buff. Love this one. And this is the one they actually used on this card packaging that says, Doctor Strange can see there's something inside. Good choice. Doc Ock. I like Doc Ock's body build here. He's got a little muscular to him, but he's still a little portly at the same time. I lifted the Atomic Energy Center straight from a Steve Ditko panel in Amazing Spider-Man #3. What was he talking about on the end of the arms? I don't know. Gotta love Doctor Doom page here. Bad guys make effective close-ups, as you can focus on their maniacal natures. Doom seems good to go with whatever devious mission he's embarked upon. I love the hand on this lever that he's like pulling to. Definitely a great Doom piece out of so many Doom pieces that exist. Got to be one of the best. Cool Dormammu. Deathlock pretty popular at the time. I remember he had a new series around this time too. It was probably about a year into it maybe. Gambit. Having a resurgence, Gambit is. I think Gambit was pretty popular at this time, kind of waned off for many years, but I think maybe X-Men 97 helped boost him again. Look at this Galactus. Oh, now look, on the Galactus, they went full bleed on it. And they did it on here too. Now that I'm looking back, maybe he started painting them bigger. Huh. Interesting that it did that. So here's Gambit and Galactus go full bleed. Or just about full bleed. Cool Torch too. I would have liked to have seen more detail on the Torch's body in that particular one. This is the one, right? Something else that's kind of cool if you can find them. There were these bootleg prismatic stickers you could find. And I remember I was on like a vacation in Florida, and it was one of those machines you put like the 4 quarters in and pushed it in. It came out in like a little envelope. And I remember having this Hulk, but I had a mini fridge at the time that I stuck it on, so I don't have it and I don't have that mini fridge anymore, so I don't have that sticker anymore. But I've seen some people post them, so they do exist out there. They're bootleg, but they're kind of neat, right? I mean, such a simple pose. You could tell he did that real quick and was ready to jump right into this. And it's a beauty. There's a reason that they made the metal card, the Hulk card. There's a reason they put it on the cover, too. One of my personal top 5 cards in the series. I think it's a perfect little origin depiction of a really formidable looking Hulk. I did an 18 by 24 recreation for someone over 20 years ago and haven't seen it since. About this time, we would have been getting Professor Hulk 2, so I wonder if he had to kind of talk them into doing this, because he talked about like Dazzler, he had to do it in her modern look. There's another character up there, but I wonder if to do the Savage Hulk, he had to be like, look, this is the Hulk I want to do. And they said, okay. Because otherwise, it should have been Professor Hulk at this time. 1992 was Professor Hulk era. Another interesting blurb. Need I say it? Bad guy, close-up. Truth be told, I wanted to shave time by not having to paint the full figure and glider. I was always making up time whenever possible. Still a cool card, and again, modern interpretation, because Hobgoblin had turned more into like a real kind of monster at this point, not just wearing a mask. Havoc in his modern interpretation, I bet he would have said, not a great painting by any stretch, but it conveys the essence of the character. When working as quickly as I had to on this series, sometimes that was the victory I had to be happy with. So I guess not really thrilled with this, and you know, it's just not the greatest Havoc costume. It's so much better in the Neil Adams design costume. You don't really get his full circles there, so great card here. Who doesn't love a painting of the Green Goblin? Next to Spider-Man, he is probably Steve Ditko's most revered creation and character design. Humorous and terrifying at the same time. I love how to see the difference of how the original sketch started, the pose, and how it ended up. Maybe he painted some of these at different sizes. Maybe this is the original size. And this, when they show them in here, they're like blown up a little bit. And then this, maybe he did some on bigger canvases. Like this one's full bleed too. I don't know. That's probably in that early back matter, or front matter, I guess you'd say. Oh, he went totally different on this one. This turned out a lot better. So good they used it on a cover. Iron Man, B-list character at the time Iron Man was. Not popular like he is today. Awesome card though. He took it and ran with it. I had a running joke through my commentary in the collection of my 2016 Marvel masterpieces that related my absolute disdain for anything Iron Man. I hate painting that armor, which has become more and more complicated over the years, and which ultimately doesn't work from every angle. Even back in 1992, I did as much as I could to cover it. Some things obviously never change. Basically, he was going with the classic head, and yeah, he did try to cover it up as much as he could, but it turned out awesome. All you really need is his head, right? I always like the icicles hanging off on that. Looks pretty good. Dope lizard card. The leader. I wish he'd been able to do that. I mean, I like the McFarlane version. As one can readily see in my preliminary sketch, I had intended to paint the original high head leader, but I was asked to paint this one, which has always looked like an inverted infected scrotum. You were right, Dave. You were right. Tell me you don't see it. I dare you. And that's the McFarlane leader. Go watch my Hulk videos where I discuss the popcorn head leader, or as he calls it, the scrotum head. Kingpin. Awesome. Full bleed on that one. He went for a big one. What did he do on the leader? Kang. So this looks like almost like one of the backgrounds he did for that other card series. I guess he was going to put years going up the side, and then he said he forgot to leave room for it. It would have still been cool kind of going behind him, but I mean, he was doing this on a deadline. You know, it's not like he had 3 years to work on this. He had to get it out. Pretty cool Juggernaut there too. I've never loved this card either. I don't like her pose here. He likes it. The figure works, and that yellow aura practically glows. Yeah. I've discovered that I'm partial to the color orange, which probably explains my affinity for this costume. I don't love this card. I don't love the way her legs are positioned and her arm. Like, everything about this is a weird position to me. It's almost like she's in like a bodybuilder flex pose here. It was a good decision to put the other hand forward. I do love that Mandarin card. We're about halfway through the book now. So here's one that he had to include because Guardians of the Galaxy, the Jim Valentino series, was pretty popular at this time. I'd never heard of this guy, but I love painting Captain America. This was a fun image. I lowered the shield from the sketch for a more solid, compact figure. Every time I look at it, I see unintentional likenesses to actor Sonny Landham from 48 Hours and Predator. But maybe it's just me. Yeah, I could see that too. Another great villain card. He didn't really go close up on it. It is all hardware. If he gets pissed off at the Home Depot, I honestly have no idea what I was thinking. Well, you did a good job. I love this one. Here's another close-up look at Loki. He got the big horns on his helmet there. Maniacal look in his face. Great card. Cool. Moon Knight. The Moloids, I think, they're a little beefy, though. A little beefy. Moloids are usually kind of scrawny looking. These Moloids are looking like they've been hitting the gym. I hate Mojo. I've never liked Mojo. And he said he didn't know anything about the character when he was doing it. Oh, look at that Mephisto. Silver Surfer number 3 is my favorite Marvel comic. I'm not sure why I deviated from my original idea, but I'm going to assume it was due to time constraints once again. Never been happy with this one because I shortcutted it. Luckily, I've had several other opportunities to paint him over the years, most recently in my 2016 Marvel Masterpiece series. I've not seen any of those newer card series. Cards are ridiculously expensive for a pack of cards. Put a whole set together, and it's not really worth it to me, but hopefully they put a book out like this someday of it. Maybe they already have. I don't know. You got Megan from Excalibur again. Not a huge Excalibur reader. And again, cool Namor. And decided on the flat top would make him unique. I mean, that's how I think of him. Like Kirby drew him with kind of like a triangular head like that. Mr. Sinister. This one's pretty fun. I almost like this sketch a little better, the way he's like leaning his body into the machine work too, instead of being so far back. But I've always loved that Mr. Fantastic. He's got the tiny little screwdriver. It's Morbin time. Particularly like the background on this painting. Nightmare is a fun character. I've been reading a lot of Doctor Strange lately. I mostly just knew Nightmare from, he would show up in Hulk, of all things. But I've been reading some Doctor Strange lately. Really like Nightmare. Great Nightcrawler card here. Bamf. What else can I say? Another character. The one character in the series I don't remember at all and know nothing about. That probably explains the generic pose and composition. Yeah, this could have been Daredevil if he wanted it to be, you know. Nick Fury paying homage to Dirty Harry. And here's the Psylocke card. Let's see it again next to this. It's a dope card. I wish I'd gotten the Spider-Man one. This is one of the best cards, I think, in the series. I mean, that pose is great, but it doesn't come through as well in the little bronze thing I got. Without a doubt, this is the most popular card in the series. No question. I didn't notice until years later that I forgot the sash ties coming off her waist. No one has ever mentioned it either. Well, I just assumed they were like coming down this way and didn't fall all the way down. Professor X. He probably should have done that. He probably should have stuck with this. Interesting on this one. He said he wanted him to put Danger Room in post-production here. And he's like, somehow it got overlooked. So he said he feels like the context was lost. But I think you could tell he's like at the Danger Room or something. I think this would have been better, though, with this using his powers somehow. This is a pretty awesome card too. And again, he mentions he wasn't really into Excalibur very much, but still awesome Phoenix card. Nova, North Star. Generic flying shot, indicative of my not really knowing what to do with the character. Sketch was a bit boring. The wanted poster idea that came to me at the last minute really elevated this piece to something special. Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, Nomad was a pretty big series at the time. As far as I know, I think they killed that character off in the Ed Brubaker run. Random cans and stuff. It's funny when you look at it in this bigger format and like kind of staring at details you never gave much thought about before. Quasar. Oh man, this probably would have been a better one. I was my own worst enemy when it came to taking what would have been a fairly simple painting and making them 3 times harder for myself. The original sketch would have probably made more of an impactful card too. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, this is a good card. When you compare it to the Mike Zeck painted covers as well, this one kind of pales compared to that, but this one would have been pretty awesome. As Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, a pose as I could muster. Shadowcat, always fun to see her. Yeah, this was her Excalibur costume, I guess, at the time. Oh, I loved dinosaurs as a kid, so Sauron was awesome to me. Stegron, not so much. Awesome Sandman on the beach. Kind of corny on the beach, but love the Sabretooth. Rogue. Probably could have done more with Rogue here, I think. One of the most popular X-Men characters of the era, I wanted to pose her as a strong feminine presence. I mean, it's a good pose for Rogue. I just feel like she's kind of small on the page. And I think this is the first time I've noticed these are like trees in the background. So it isn't just like a, generic looking background. Great Red Skull. Love that one. That's up there with the Doom and Magneto cards. And the Loki cards. Man, he really did put a little extra attention into the villains. Silver Sable. Pretty popular at the time. I was going all out for sexy, elegant, and affluent. Oh yeah, and deadly. I think I touched all the bases here. He definitely went with the bodybuilder look on this one with a bit of whimsy. Looks like she fought a Doom robot, giant Doom bot or something. Unlike Galactus, who devours worlds for sustenance and survival, not that I'm apologizing for him, Thanos is a bad-to-the-bone cosmic killer. I wanted to depict the danger of his overwhelming galactic presence. Love Super Skrull too. It's always been one of the favorite cards. Strong Guy, again, it's like one of those characters I just don't care much about, but it's a good card. There's your Storm card. Full bleed on that one. I like the mood and the palette as well as the long, lithe lines of the figure. They give an elegance that the character demands. This would make a great, large, unfinished painting. And here's your Spider-Man one. So let's look at that Spider-Man compared to the one he did at the beginning real quick. So here's the recreation. And there's the original card. It's like it's a lot softer on this one. I mean, I'm sure he was referencing the card though, but it's like the webbing looks a little nicer, but I think Spider-Man, the texture of his costume gets a little lost on that one, I think. Still pretty interesting. This was the first character I painted, and it became the iconic image of the series. And I think this one and the Hulk together, really. It's a fairly creepy depiction that is far afield from the John Romita version I grew up with, but it definitely struck a chord with fans. Slightly altered from the sketch, but to better effect. It reminds me of the McFarlane Spider-Man #1 cover, where he's like sitting in the web. And I wonder, maybe he forgot, but I wonder if that inspired it, because this is just a couple of years after that. And that cover was everywhere. I recently had someone tell me this is their favorite image in the series. That made me smile, and I'd never heard that before. As the saying goes, every piece you've done is someone's favorite painting. Sleepwalker. There's your Norn Rad. Full bleed on that one. This one and the Galactus. The figure is a bit too posed, but the painting is pretty cool. I've steered away from the super chromed look in recent years, but I have to admit that rendering that texture is a lot of fun. Seems like something gets lost in the crotch area. But yeah, I like this card a lot. I mean, I guess when he's saying it does look superposed, and I'm glad he didn't do the energy blasting out of his hands. Wildlife artist John Seary Lester once wrote that he sometimes likes to move parts of the animals off the canvas to make them seem larger and more intimidating. Well, here you go. And that's, the thing isn't supposed to be gigantic. He was only supposed to be like 6 foot something. He wasn't supposed to be like the Hulk size. That was what made part of his battles with the Hulk so good. Great Thor card. He's done some much better Thors since this, I think, for covers and such. Still an awesome one. Gets all the highlight. You got the Rainbow Road. You got Asgard. I mean, it's pretty good. I think he did a good job from his original sketch, having it swinging out like that to coming towards the camera. It's a good choice. Wonder Man. Fun. Pretty much stuck with what he had there. So I just read this blurb, and I did not realize he thought that having that as an Oscar, because the character was an actor, would be a nice touch. And it is. It is pretty cool. I did not realize on the original card, he said while promoting the piece, he was asked to turn it into a statue of Wonder Man himself to avoid any potential trademark infringement. So he did, and that's how the card actually appears. But he said in these, they printed the original one. But he's not in this issue, so can't look at it. Interesting, though. Wolverine. It's funny he didn't go full bleed on that one. This one was used too. This, the Spider-Man, and the Hulk were kind of the 3 primary ones used for promotion. The only thing I don't love about this card is how big his head is. Like, look at it here. But this is a little bit more like what Silvestri and Adam Kubert were doing on the Wolverine title about this time. I don't know if Kubert was on 93 or 92. I guess Silvestri was wrapping up his run and then going over to Image, and then I guess I think Kubert came on right away. So it is a little bit more like that, but I wish he'd done the mask, honestly. That's pretty cool too, though. Great Emma Frost here. He comments here about how detailed the background is and why he went that distance for the set when he was on such a tight deadline. But I mean, this is a great piece of Emma Frost here. Same thing, just didn't know quite what to do. Done. Not as horrifying or monstrous as later renditions are, but it was the most comic version at the time. Was the tongue a thing yet in 92? If it was, I'm not sure how I could have missed it. Yeah, because Eric Larson did that. I loved this one so much. I have a sketch somewhere that I did of this as a teenager. I can't find it right now. Hopefully I have a picture of it, and if I do, I'll put it on screen. But I love the angle on this one. I love how beefy he is, too. Ultron, you can tell he went on the background on here. Tombstone, I guess, was kind of big at the time. Now, these were the battle cards. So one thing I will say about this, compared to the other books, is in these, this is an awesome one, right? And see, there's where I was saying, like, the Thing's head and body were on this right here, that he had to, like, fill them in. This one right here, in these books, you got one of those in the centerfold. There are 5 of them, only 4 issues of this book, so they must, I don't know. And you got it as a double page spread on this. But now I'm wondering, did he paint at this size? Is that why it's this size? And this is blown up? I'll have to look in the front of the book and see if that's what they're saying. Great choice there. This is, just after the Infinity Gauntlet wrapped up. Awesome battle card there. You got to have those two. There's Venom with his tongue. So in here he's saying that his original sketch where he wanted Spidey to be confronting Venom like this, and he was asked to have Spider-Man facing front, which makes it look more like he's being ambushed by Venom, and he felt like that changes the narrative of what he was trying to tell. But I think it was wise to have Spider-Man facing forward for the card. Another cool Cap and Red Skull there. And Cap wasn't a huge character really at this time period. You know, his title was kind of like waffling around, and you know, so to include this as one of the chase cards in the series is, you know, pretty cool. These must be the extra cards. So some of these were included in, there was like a collector's 10 that had the whole set, and it included a few cards. And then these books again had extra paintings, including like the 2099 characters and stuff. So yeah, here's your extra cards. Yeah, Typhoid Mary is in one of those books. And Deathbird. Oh, they're not all in here though. They didn't put the extra ones, the 2099 characters, because they had all of them. Spider-Man, Doom, Punisher, Ravage. They were all in these books. They didn't include them in this. That's disappointing. Well, anyway, it's still a pretty cool book. I'm glad I got it. Finally got it. Definitely one I'll be looking at more often. It's more fun than getting these cards out and, you know, carefully like looking through them. And, you know, these are cool though. You get the sparkliness on those that you don't get inside any of the book. But that's it. If you ordered one of these, I hope that it's on its way to you soon. And until next time, read your comics. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed my breakdown of this issue, you can support the channel by hitting subscribe. It costs you nothing and helps other comic fans find the channel. You can also visit readyourcomics.com for cool merch, like this. Read Your Comics isn't just a brand, it's a mantra. And when you wear a Read Your Comics shirt, you are helping spread the word. For more classic comics conversation, be sure to follow me on Instagram at read.your.comics. And if you're still here, why not watch one of my older videos? Here or here.